Hello sports fans, it is Wednesday, September the 10th, year 2014, and as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. College football picks coming up. I'll tell you, it is a light week in college football. I had to search high and low for any big games. I think the biggest game of the weekend is Georgia against South Carolina, and South Carolina is barely in the top 25, and they already got blown out by Texas A&M. There is nothing going on this week in college football, and I'll tell you, the first 2 weeks of college football wasn't all that great either. So we are off to a rough start in the college football season. Now listen, it's going to get better, especially in October. We got the big, 4-game playoff this year, but right now, very light schedule for college football. This weekend is absolutely atrocious. College Game Day is in Fargo, North Dakota for the second year in a row to cover North Dakota State against Incarnate Wood. Let me say it again, Incarnate Wood. I had to look up where that school was even located. San Antonio, Texas, by the way. They used to be a Division II school, but that's where College Game Day is this weekend. Fargo, North Dakota to cover North Dakota State and Incarnate Wood. And I don't want to rain on North Dakota State's parade. They have a great program. They always have a solid team. The fans were tremendous last year when College Game Day was there. I'm sure they're going to be great this year as well. But come on. I mean, that's where you're headed, College Game Day, to Fargo, North Dakota for the second year in a row. I mean, that shows you what's going on in the rest of the country as far as college football. There is nothing going on, as far as big games. There are no big games this weekend. It is hard to believe with all these teams, there are no big games. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to try my best. I'm going to give you a few picks this weekend. Let's get it going right now. Let's start in Tucson, Arizona, where the Arizona Wildcats are minus 15 against the Nevada Wolfpack. Arizona is 2-0. They beat UNLV and Texas San Antonio. Ho-hum. Nevada, same thing. They beat Southern Utah and Washington State, so neither team has really been tested. I'm going to go with Arizona here. I think Rich Rodriguez has found a home in the desert. Remember, Rich Rodriguez, the coach of Arizona, used to coach West Virginia, had a very successful program there, then went to Michigan and fell flat on his face, but now he has second life out here in the desert. Arizona is traditionally a very good home team. The fans are great out there, great student section. Arizona has a high-powered offense. I think they're going to be too much for Nevada. I think Nevada will hang in the game for maybe a half, 2.5 quarters, but Arizona will pull away. Arizona will cover the 15. I like Arizona at home, minus 15 over Nevada out in Tucson. Pick number 2, let's go to Fresno State, where Nebraska is minus 10 at Fresno State. Nebraska 2-0. They blew out Florida Atlantic, and they struggled to beat McNeese State. They were not impressive in that game at all. That game was tied with just a few minutes to go. Fresno State 0-2. They got bombed by USC, got bombed by Utah. They gave up 52 points and 59 points respectively. Fresno State usually has a good program. I don't know about this year. They look like they are going to have a long season. I think Nebraska's going to be embarrassed by their performance last week. Pelini's been going on and on about the team this week. I think he's going to have them inspired to play a big-time game this week on the road. So I'm going to take Nebraska to just bomb Fresno State out there in California. I'll take Nebraska minus 10 at Fresno State. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go to Boulder, Colorado, the picturesque campus of the University of Colorado, where Arizona State is minus 15.5 at Colorado. Arizona State is 2-0. They beat Weber State and New Mexico. Colorado 1-1. They lost to Colorado State, and they hung on and beat UMass last weekend. Here's what we know about Arizona State. They are a bully team. They can beat the weaklings and the mediocre teams, and they like to run it up against those teams. Anytime they play someone, big that can stand toe-to-toe with them, Arizona State gets soft and they lose. Colorado is made to order for Arizona State. Arizona State will do whatever they want on offense. Arizona State should put up about 50 points in this game. Arizona State, way too much for Colorado, even though the game is in Boulder. I like Arizona State minus 15.5 at Colorado. Pick number 4, let's go up to Boston, where USC is minus 17 at Boston College. USC is 2-0. They bombed Fresno and had that huge win last week at Stanford. Boston College 1-1. They beat UMass and they lost to Pitt by 10 at home last weekend. Listen, USC with that win against Stanford has put themselves as a national championship contender. Make no mistake about it. Boston College lost at home to Pitt by 10 points. Now I know USC is better than Pitt. So if Pitt beat Boston College by 10, I think USC can beat Boston College by about 20. So I am taking USC minus 17 up in Boston to beat Boston College. USC goes to 3-0. So that is pick number 4. Pick number 5, let's go down to Texas, where UCLA is minus 8 at Texas. This game is being played at Jerry Jones Stadium in Dallas, not on the campus of the University of Texas. UCLA, a very unimpressive 2-0 so far. They beat Virginia and they hung on to beat Memphis. They didn't look good in either game. Texas did beat North Texas and then they got bombed at home by BYU. I think UCLA's got to have a big game here. Texas lost by 34 points to BYU at home. UCLA to me is better than BYU. UCLA hasn't looked good the first 2 weeks. They're about to explode and come out of this. I love the quarterback at UCLA. They can do a lot of things on offense. Texas just doesn't have it. I mean, they have a new coach, but you got to give him time to get his players in there. Texas is not a good team right now. Expect UCLA to roll down in Texas. UCLA minus 8 at Texas. Let's go to Norman, Oklahoma, where the Oklahoma Sooners are minus 20 against the Tennessee Volunteers. Oklahoma 2-0. They beat Louisiana Tech and Tulsa. Oklahoma is a national title contender. Make no mistake about it. Tennessee also 2-0. They beat Utah State and Arkansas State. Ho-hum. Tennessee's looking at a whole different ball game this week going to Norman. This is not Utah State. This is not Arkansas State at home. Now you're going to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma never loses at home. Oklahoma is going to be on national TV. They're going to look to blow out Tennessee, and I think they will do it. I love this Oklahoma team. I would be disappointed if this Oklahoma team didn't make it to the Final Four. Bob Stoops has a really good team here. They are way too much for Tennessee. I mean, way too much. Oklahoma should roll in this game. Oklahoma minus 20 at home against Tennessee. Let's go down to the Swamp in Gainesville, where the Florida Gators are minus 17 over the Kentucky Wildcats. Florida 1-0. Remember, the game against Idaho got postponed because of the weather. They blew out Eastern Michigan last week 65-0. Kentucky's 2-0. They beat Tennessee Martin in Ohio. This is Kentucky's road game. And one place you don't want to visit at night is the Swamp in Gainesville. That is a very tough environment to play in. It's a 7:30 night game down in Florida. The fans are going to be all riled up. Florida, I think, is going to rebound this year after having a terrible season last year where everyone got hurt, the quarterback, the defense. I think Florida's going to have a much better year. Kentucky, not in Florida's class. The game being in Gainesville is a huge advantage for Florida, especially with the game being at night. Expect Florida to bully Kentucky. Expect Florida to bully Kentucky right off the field. Florida wins this game by 24 points. I like Florida minus 17 against Kentucky down in the Swamp. Let's go to Missouri, where the Missouri Tigers are minus 9.5 against the Central Florida Knights. Missouri is 2-0. They beat South Dakota State and they won at Toledo last week. Central Florida's only played one game. They lost to Penn State in Ireland. Penn State kicked the field goal with no time left. I love Missouri's quarterback. I love Mark. I love the offense. I think Missouri being at home is going to be too much for Central Florida. Central Florida does have a nice program. They're not good enough to win here at Missouri. I think Missouri covers the 9.5. I like Mark and company to win, do whatever they want on offense. I like Missouri to score in the 30s in this game. I'll take Missouri minus 9.5 against Central Florida in Missouri. And let's go to what I think is the biggest game of the weekend. And it's not all that great. Georgia minus 6.5 at South Carolina. Georgia ranked 6th in the country. South Carolina ranked 24. Georgia is 1-0, had the big home win against Clemson, dominated in the second half. South Carolina is 1-1. They got bombed at home by Texas A&M. They beat East Carolina last week. I mean, this is the best game of the weekend. That shows you the state of college football this weekend. The spread is 6.5. Georgia's favored by 6.5. I think Georgia's going to win. I think Georgia's too good for South Carolina, but I'm going to take South Carolina with the 6.5. I just have a feeling this game is going to be close. It's do or die for South Carolina. They already have a loss. They can't afford any more losses if they want to win the SEC. Georgia can be shaky on the road. They always have one bad game every year that they just stumble and bumble. It's usually on the road. They don't play well in South Carolina usually. I think Georgia's going to win. I think they're going to squeak through it, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think they're going to win by about, 3-4 points. So I'm going to take Georgia to win, but I am going to take South Carolina to hang in there. I just have a feeling they're going to hang in. Great fans down there in South Carolina. I think they're going to be really ready to go. By the way, tune into the beginning of this game. South Carolina, when they first come on the field, comes on to 2001 Space Odyssey, the song. What a great opening, to come into the stadium with. I mean, the fans get really into it. The song's blaring. The team comes rushing on the field. So definitely, if you can, watch the beginning of this game when South Carolina comes out of the tunnel to 2001 Space Odyssey. It is a really exciting beginning. I think South Carolina hangs in the game, but Georgia wins. I'll take South Carolina plus 6.5. So those are your college football picks, and I'll tell you, it is a terrible week in college football. It's hard to believe with all these teams in college football that you have nothing going on this weekend. I mean, it is a rough week. But anyway, I tried my best with a few picks there. Transitioning to baseball real quick, as far as the American League wild card, Oakland won last night, so they're in good shape for that first wild card right now. As far as the second wild card, now remember, Kansas City and Detroit are tied right now for the division. Detroit's won 2 straight against Kansas City. So Detroit and Kansas City tied for the division, and they're tied for the wild card spot too. So Detroit and Kansas City have 2 ways to get into the playoffs. Seattle lost last night at home to Houston, so Seattle drops to a half a game back. Toronto, Cleveland, and the Yankees are starting to fade out. So it looks like it's going to be, to me, it's going to be Kansas City and Detroit fighting for the division. The loser is going to be fighting for the wild card with Oakland and Seattle. Toronto, Cleveland, and the Yankees, they're starting to fade out of it. As far as the National League, San Francisco is in good shape for that first wild card position. Pittsburgh has the second wild card spot. Atlanta a game and a half back. Milwaukee a game and a half back and sliding. Miami's only 3.5 games out. It's hard to believe. I don't think Miami's going to get there, but what a nice job Miami's done. Only 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. Only a game under 500, and they haven't had their best pitcher all year. You'd love to see Miami keep Stanton, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Stanton's going to be on another team real soon. And the Mets are only 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. Now, I don't think the Mets are making the playoffs, but things have gotten a little tight here in the National League. I still think when all is said and done, San Francisco and Pittsburgh will be your 2 wild card teams in the National League. So that is your baseball. As far as the World Cup of Basketball, the United States, no surprise, blew out Slovenia yesterday. They will play Lithuania in the semifinals. You still have a couple quarterfinal games today. You're looking at the United States and Spain over the weekend in the finals. And as far as boxing, you do have the big Showtime pay-per-view this weekend. Mayweather-Maidana 2. Of course, the first fight was very close. Maidana was right in the fight. A lot of people thought Maidana won. A lot of people thought it was a draw. Mayweather got a close decision. I'm going to pick Mayweather to win an easier decision here. I think he's going to do more boxing this time around. Last time he was trying to slug it out with Maidana. He laid on the ropes a lot. I think you're going to see more movement from Mayweather, more boxing. I think Mayweather wins, an easier decision this time. But the first fight was very surprisingly good. I mean, Maidana was right in the fight. I thought Mayweather did pull it out. I gave Mayweather, I think I had the fight like 7-5 Mayweather, something like that, but it was a very, very close fight. Could have gone either way. I think Mayweather's going to win a little more comfortably. I'm going to pick Mayweather unanimous decision in this fight. So if you want to pluck down your $60 or whatever it is, you do have some pay-per-view boxing this weekend. Okay, you guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. Remember, you guys, NFL football tomorrow, Pittsburgh and the Ravens. You got your college football on Saturday, even though it's a terrible week. You got your NFL on Sunday. You got your World Cup of Basketball. You got your baseball. You guys have a lot to watch. I will be back with you guys Monday. We'll recap everything that went on over the weekend, I should say, especially NFL football games. So I will talk to you guys on Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the games. Talk to you Monday. Take care.